There's one developed country where mothers are more likely to die in childbirth than anywhere else in the wealthy world. The same country also has the highest rate of babies dying in their first month of life. That country spends more on health care than any other nation and has the most advanced medical technology. So which country is it? You probably already know. It's the United States. But what you don't know is why this is happening. Let me give you numbers that will blow your mind. The United States has 22.3 maternal deaths per 100,000 births. Norway has 0. Switzerland has 1.2. Sweden has 3. For babies, the U.S. has 3.9 deaths per 1,000 births in their first month of life. Nordic countries average 1.44. That's 63% more American babies dying compared to other developed nations. The U.S. maternal mortality rate is more than 50% higher than the next closest developed country. Here's where it gets mind-blowing. Countries with the lowest death rates perform the fewest medical interventions. The U.S. has a 32% cesarean rate, nearly 1 in 3 women. Norway has 16.5%. Sweden has 17%. Iceland has 14%. Medical experts recommend cesarean rates should be 15 to 20% for optimal outcomes. The WHO considers 10 to 15% ideal. So countries performing half the surgeries have 0 maternal deaths and dramatically better baby survival. In 1900, over 90% of American births occurred at home. Women were surrounded by experienced female relatives, neighbors, and skilled midwives. Birth was seen as a normal life event, not a medical emergency. Women had continuity of care from trusted community members. They maintained control over their experience. Yes, there were dangers, bleeding and infection, but women were prepared and supported through familiar surroundings. Then in 1915, Dr. Joseph DeLee, a prominent obstetrician, declared pregnancy and childbirth dangerous and evil. Here's his actual justification. If a woman falls on a pitchfork and drives the handle through her perineum, we call that pathologic. But if a large baby is driven through the pelvic floor, we say that is natural. So frequent are these bad effects that I have wondered whether nature did not intend women should be used up in reproduction, like salmon, which dies after spawning. Doctors introduced twilight sleep, morphine and scopolamine injections that made women delirious and violent. Hospitals had to use knee, wrist, and elbow shackles to restrain screaming, terrified women. When babies were ready to be born, doctors cut generous episiotomies and used forceps to drag babies out while mothers were unconscious and shackled. This could only be done in hospitals. By the 1930s, studies revealed the shocking truth. Hospital births had 24% operative interventions compared to only 8% in home births. The New York maternal mortality study found that home births attended by midwives had the lowest death rates. 2/3 of hospital maternal deaths were preventable, caused by poorly trained obstetricians who relied too often on operative techniques. By 1950, 88% of births occurred in hospitals. Birth became ritualized mechanistic production. Standard procedures included routine shaving, mandatory enemas, spinal anesthesia, episiotomies, and forceps delivery. Women were strapped flat on their backs with feet in stirrups, separated from all support people. By 1960, 97% of births occurred in hospitals. Here's what will shock you most. American women today are more likely to die in childbirth than women in the 1960s and 1970s. In 1987, the U.S. hit its lowest maternal mortality rate ever at 6.6 deaths per 100,000. Today, it's 22.3, 3 times higher. Countries with 0 maternal deaths use extensive midwifery care. The Netherlands has 34% home births with midwives. Denmark and Sweden use autonomous midwives for almost all births. Their philosophy, the art of doing nothing well, intervening only when required. Meanwhile, the U.S. treats every birth like a medical emergency requiring surgical intervention. Other countries provide guaranteed postpartum home visits and paid maternity leave. The U.S. provides neither. The data is undeniable. We took birth away from women and gave it to hospitals. We replaced community support with isolation, natural process with surgical intervention. The cost has been measured in lives lost. both mothers and babies dying at rates that shame the richest country on earth. If this shocked you, hit subscribe, because the medical industry has more secrets they don't want you to know.